A quick warning, the story you're about to hear may or may not include swearing and adult themes, so please keep that in mind if you have any kids around that you may not want to expose to such profanity. Miss Kim meets me at the entrance of the school. She tells me to remove my shoes and put on a pair of slippers to wear inside. I put my shoes in a box still labeled Carl and then throw on a pair of Fira slippers she's placed before me. The process, though a relatively simple one, takes a lot longer than usual given that I'm wearing formal shoes which I've laced up unnecessarily tight. I thought it would be more impressive if I dressed cleanly, but I guess footwear doesn't really factor into the equation. Miss Kim leads me to my office, a little alcove on the second floor separated from the English classroom by a small window. She informs me that I have a class first period and then asks me if it's okay. I lie. She says thank you. She said she asked Mr. Shin if he could teach my class for the first day just to let me get settled, but he insisted that I should do it myself. It was honestly not too much of a problem, but given that I'd not been given any chance to sit at my desk, it would have been nice to have a little time off at first. Luckily, I'd prepared an introductory presentation instead of listening to one of the lectures during orientation. It was full of jokes and moving pictures and things like that, and knowing what I was like in middle school, it probably wouldn't have moved me back then. She shows me the coffee machine in the corner and hands me a can of coffee that Carl left me before he moved away. There's a note on the table, a set of keys for every cabinet in the office, a key to the office, both English classrooms, and an access key to the school's hidden Wi-Fi. His note is welcoming and gives a lot of instruction regarding the school, the town, and my apartment. I wonder if I should do this when I leave. I'm not sure whether or not I have the ability to. By the time I figured out how to work the coffee machine, students start trickling into the classroom behind me. I look at the color-coded schedule on the table and find that it's the 3rd grade C-level class. They are, as Miss Kim told me in the car, by far the worst students in the school. This, I decide, is a good thing. It's better just to jump in deep instead of slowly wading and drawing out the pain. A quick submergence is more preferable to a slow, gradual suffering. If I can do this class, I can do any class. The bell rings. I step out of my office, then loop around into the classroom and find myself face to face with a very large human. Despite his size, his face is soft and kind. He smiles, points to the bathroom, and says something in Korean. He is kind. I oblige. Once he walks past me, I can finally see the rest of the class. I can see the skinny boy in the corner screaming in mock anguish as a stout and fat boy bounces on him like a yoga ball. I can see 2 students arm wrestling in the middle of the classroom while their friends cheer them on. I can see a group of boys at the computer trying to guess the password. There are 15 boys in the classroom and only 2 of them are sitting in a way that suggests that they're ready to learn anything. In the movies, the presence of a teacher usually affects students in one of 2 ways. Either A, they immediately perk up, sit down, and get on with their class. Or B, they decide that the teacher is not worth listening to, and they scoff and continue on. The former usually occurs when the teacher is already well known and established as a disciplinarian. The latter is usually a result of a teacher attempting to achieve too much too soon. It occurs when the teacher has not yet earned the respect of the students, but tries to act like, without doing anything, they deserve it. I will not be the latter today, nor will I be the former. The best I can do is pretend to be the former, and then I head to my desk. As I approach, a murmur starts across the classroom. The students watch me as I approach the front of the class. The arm wrestlers stop their arm wrestling. The yoga ball stands up. The students at the computer clear the area, but instead of going to their desk, they just stand there and watch me. Hi, I say. Teacher, I can't English, says the yoga ball. The rest of the class laughs. The attentive students don't. The attentive students don't actually do anything. The attentive students are asleep. The attentive students are sleeping in an upright position. I log onto the computer and load up my PowerPoint. As I move my hands on the keyboard, the class becomes rowdy again. By the time I look up, the students seem to have created a round-robin arm wrestling tournament of uncertain significance. Sit down, please, I say, and nobody sits down. The round-robin continues to raucous cheers. A large boy gains leverage over his similarly large opponent. Their tall, skinny friend throws his arms up in excitement, torn between which of his friends he should cheer for. Is there history? Was there a recent competition that ended in a tense final involving the 2 of them? What have I missed? And has what I missed actually kind of warranted this kind of behavior? It's the first period of my foray into teaching, the first minute, and already I'm far out of my depth. The big kid beats the other big kid. His supporters cheer. I clap, I congratulate, I do what I can to build a rapport, but it's evident that they are not yet comfortable with me. In a letter before I came, Carl warned me that this class would be a challenge. Mr. Shin walks into the room and the talking stops. The students make their way to their assigned desks in an arrangement that I had not been informed about, and I head over to introduce myself to him. Hi, my name is Jay. I'm the new foreign teacher. Yes, he says. How do you like our students? They're nice, I say, and then he laughs in my face. It's a big laugh, a huge laugh. Compared to the strength of his laugh, everything else in this world is but a mere tumbleweed. Then you have not been watching closely enough. Mr. Shin is a tall, white-haired individual. His face is deeply wrinkled, and his voice raspy. He smells of a hangover. His 3 upper buttons are undone. I should start class now, I say. I'm unsure whether or not I'll be receiving support from him. The first slide is entitled Rules. Mr. Shin laughs loudly as soon as the title appears on screen. A few students turn to him and ask what it means. A student at the front stutters it out. Rule, he says. One of his friends points to the word, looks at the class with a very bright face, and yells, Rulo! He digs into his bag and pulls out a few broken shards of plastic that, in its past life, were likely used to draw straight lines, or measure straight lines, or function as a placeholder for a sword. I look at my slide and decide that its exposition would be an exercise in futility. Teaching these kids how to behave in my class and then expecting them to do it would be like trying to accurately measure the distance from Toronto to Vancouver using that kid's ruler shrapnel. Teaching them how to behave in my class would kind of be like expecting my parents to value my arts degree. The rest of the PowerPoint is successful. I introduce my family, show pictures of Canada, and showcase the art of the GIF. They laugh, I laugh. Mr. Shin falls asleep on a desk in the back. We have a joyous time, and when it's all over, I have 35 minutes left in class. How is it possible that that PowerPoint took an hour and a half to make and would only take 10 minutes to burn through? I'd estimated that it would take at least 30. I'd also estimated that at least one student in the class would be able to read fluently. I understand now why Mr. Shin had laughed at me. I understand why Miss Kim told me to lower my expectations. I understood why Carl told me to play language games with the class. I consider that I may not have understood anything before I got here. I'm simultaneously in over my head and way inside of it. When the class ends, I email Carl. Hi Carl, just got out of C class, it was terrible. I don't know what I'm doing, can you please help me? Please. It's the first time in my life I've been immediately bad at my job. It's also the first time in my life where my job is actually important to the lives and well-being of the people that I'm serving. This is the first time I've wanted to be really, really good at my job and I'm not even close. My chest is filling with dread. So I guess, so far so good. The first day of anything can be stressful, but when it comes to a job in a place that I've never been before, in a culture that I don't know, in a town that honestly there was only at the time one picture on Google Images of, I didn't really feel like there was anything I could have done to prepare myself better. Now, obviously I could have studied more about pedagogy, I could have learned more about what my situation would be on the island, but it was one of those things where I felt like I just had to learn by doing. And in my opinion, as a teacher who's been teaching for a very long time, pretty much everything is something that you pick up as you go. One thing I never really understood though, and I still don't fully understand, is what is the exact role of our Korean counterparts? Of course, it makes sense that we have somebody who can help us as classes go on, but there's really no control or really any guidelines about how we're supposed to work together. Now, of course, co-teaching is something that is itself a skill and an art and something that needs to be practiced, but it doesn't really seem like there's much training. Actually, I take that back. There's a lot of training these days, but even still, a lot of it is based off guesswork. And I'm not gonna lie, even more frustratingly, a lot of what the guesswork involves is guessing whether or not the person that you're working with is going to be up for doing the job of helping you in your classes, which in our position is not very highly valued in my opinion. Now I may be wrong, I may just be an old-timey dude who has been here for too long and is still attached to what has been and not exactly what is now. But again, I've worked with people young and old, and to be honest, it's tough. It's really tough to get on the same page with someone, and even when you are, it's tough for that to become something productive. At the end of the day though, it's like anything else in life. You gotta find a balance, and trying to find a balance between me and my co-teachers, that obviously would take time. Now, as we close out, one more time, I want to redirect you to another podcast called This Korean Life. It's another one of those podcasts that exists for us, for our community, and they do good work. I was on the podcast about a year and a half ago, at which time I spoke about myself. So if you want to get to know me better, you can listen to episode 93 with me under my name Sekider, which is another project that I've been running, though I really haven't uploaded recently because, life kind of gets in the way. Anyways, I hope y'all are doing well. I know it's a very precarious world that we're living in, but this is the world that we live in, so it is what it is. Take it easy, fam. Be happy.